All right. So this is round one. Doing something a little different this time. I recorded. My roommate wakes up at 5 a.m. I was recording late night for him, and I chose to just record the draft and then we'll do the run the playback on the rounds instead of them live. There's some pros and cons to this. It's a little bit more efficient in terms of time, I think, in general, and also I don't yammer on too much explaining what is going on here. Um, and it's like if the opponent disconnects or whatever, you don't have to worry about that. The opponent takes forever and ever. Just a little bit less time kill. But you don't get the live. Oh my god! What, you chopped that? What? 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 Part. Because I've lived this before. So uh, anyway, our let's see, we're on the draw this round. Our opponent mulligans. This is obviously a very fine hand. Effectively three lands and some spells. The Quicksmith is a believably a pretty good card. Drawing cards is sweet, so this is also good. This is whatever. So our opponent goes to 6 and plays that. We just run out the map, easy peasy. Opponent puzzle nuts, no big deal. We go ahead and run out the Aether Swooper because it's much more likely that's going to get in for a fair bit of damage than the Ravenous Intruder. It's not really great with just one artifact that we didn't really get a lot of sacrifice for value artifacts in this draft. So use that, the energy. Opponent plays this, and now we have our first real spot. So we can try and sit back and block the 3-1 with the 1-2. I decided to go ahead and attack because I'd rather get the servo. Also, if our opponent just plays a removal spell on the swooper, that's pretty bad for us. Yeah, so we're just going to attack with this, make a Thopter. Presumably they don't block, and then make a Implement of Examination post-combat. So that happens. We attack the Implement of Examination. And now our opponent gets in for 3. And the follow-up is a removal spell for our flyer. So definitely attacking worked out much better, as long as probably we don't really need the extra energy for the Shipwreck Moray. Usually it doesn't need that much energy, it's just the kind of the threat of activation is more powerful. So that happens, and that's all they can do for the turn. So now this is, I mean, we could play the Shipwreck Moray instead of the Quicksmith Spy, but then you would draw fewer cards, so drawing more cards is better. And then we play the Quicksmith Spy and just soul bond it with the Renegade map. And then I'm trying to remember, what is it? Harsh Scrutiny? Yeah. So we don't want to get, if our opponent, since they're playing black, they happen to have a Harsh Scrutiny in their deck, which is unlikely, but no big deal. We'd rather them not be able to discard, choose another card from our hand to discard, so we'll plan on activating this on the end step if we can. Our opponent has a Chandra's Revolution, excuse me, not Pia's Revolution. We passed Pia's Revolution, I believe. To take out their Quicksmith Spy and tap down one of our lands, but we do still get to draw one card, so we traded Quicksmith Spy for Chandra's Revolution and a card. So it's simple 2 for 1, pretty good. Our opponent's not really getting that far ahead on tempo right now. We do have to worry about what this clock is. So here, whatever, opponent's tapped out. We're going to attack at some point, and we have the option, we're going to have effectively 4 mana to use this turn. So we could either play Ravenous Intruder, Eager Construct, or Shipwreck Moray, or potentially like Construct, Inventor's Apprentice, Implement of Examination. Something like that. I could also crack the implement first and make a decision after seeing 2 new cards. That's probably slightly more correct. I end up just playing the Eager Construct first to scry before the draw, which is not really... We'd rather, you know, since we're not going to be able to do much with the mana afterwards, and we're not under super pressure, having the scry on our next draw step as opposed to before these 2 draw steps doesn't really matter. And yeah, I'd just rather, you know, whatever. If an opponent has harsh scrutiny, they'll have an option. It's a reasonable option. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but so we go ahead and attack first because, you know, maybe they have. Trying to remember, what is it? The Pact of Slaughter Pact. I think that doesn't even hit artifact creatures, and is super not legal in the set. So start by playing the Construct, do our Scry, and waste our Scry because this is a very good card for us to draw. And then we just play the Inventor's Apprentice and wait to crack the implement on opponent's end step. Getting beat down again for 3. Starting to get a little painful there. No big deal. And then I create a servo, no big deal. Go ahead and crack the implement. Draw. Did not draw a land. In this spot, we're pretty well priced in playing a Quicksmith Rebel, bonding with the Renegade map and killing the Foundry's creature. So we're at 11, opponent's at 16. I'm willing to trade any of these creatures, or yeah, I'm willing to trade any of these creatures with the Aether Poisoner. We're well ahead on cards. Just want to make sure we don't. And we're after the Quicksmith Rebel, we're going to be ahead on board as well. But just want to go ahead and attack in with everything, and happy to trade with either of these cheap creatures. If they don't want to trade, that's fine too. We're going to start pressuring their life total pretty well as well. We're going to have, like if they just take it, they go to 11. They join us at 11, and then this effectively adds 5 power, and 2 of it just goes straight to the face if as needed. But they're gonna have 2 power in play against a bunch more. Yeah. So we just go ahead and jam. They choose not to block. We play the Quicksmith, bond with the map, and just go ahead and gun down the bat right now. No reason to get fancy and get blown up by a combat trick or something. It's clearly the most important thing. They sacrifice the puzzle knot, and I believe they just concede at this point. Yep, they just go ahead and concede. So that was game 1. As far as sideboarding, my deck's perfect. I chose not to sideboard. Opponent didn't really show us anything. A couple of reasonable removal spells, a couple of cheap threats. Nothing in our sideboard really changes too much. So loading up game 2. Alright, game 2. Alright, opponent chooses to play first again. They mulligan again. This hand is not great. It's 5 lands and 2 spells. But we're not gonna mulliganing in limited is very bad, or it's more painful in limited. You just need, because you need to hit your 6th land a lot of the time, so just being a card behind is painful. So I do this, draw a card. You still can't cast any spells. Our opponent does not cast any spells, and they miss their 3rd land drop. So interesting spot here. I choose So they can run out the Windrake, the Watchful Automaton, or the Mobile Garrison. No reason to play the map at this point compared to putting something on board. I choose to go with the Mobile Garrison because we're probably going to follow up with one of these two cards, and then our opponent's going to have their hope at best case scenario have their third land, and if they they can't really play something that will be able to block the Mobile Garrison, so this is going to get in for more damage than the Windrake, even though the Windrake has flying. It's just not going to be a profitable block for our opponent, most likely, almost certainly. So go ahead and run out the Mobile Garrison, and our opponent does hit their third land drop, and they play Gifted Aetherborn, which is quite a good card, 2/3 Death Touch lifelink. But they're just kind of well behind on cards, and then we draw a Quicksmith Spy, and I would like to just draw as many cards as possible, so we go ahead and do that. Soul Bond, and leave the option to potentially use this to block that. I don't think I would choose not to, because we're it's 20-20. This game's probably got some more time in it, and just getting ahead on cards is much better. They play a Screecher, it's no big deal, and they choose not to attack, but whatever. I think that's a mistake on their part. They're I think it would be a mistake for me to block. Obviously, it would be a mistake for me to block with this and just give it to them. And then trading the Mobile Garrison, that's my own personal Howling Mine at this point, is that seems like that would be a pretty big mistake as well. So we'll go ahead and draw on an instep, try to Gluttonous Crane. So sequencing here is a little bit sketchy. I could just go ahead and choose to draw a card and reevaluate. I don't really want to play Ice Over at this point. Watchful Automaton, Windrake, whatever. These are all reasonable plays. They don't do a ton. I decided to go ahead and play the Gluttonous Crane, and then presumably follow up with the Windrake. Put 2 flying blockers available for the Foundry's creature. Just try and drag this game out, because we're drawing 2 cards a turn, and we'll go from there. See if we can hit anything off this Gluttonous Crane. So we're casting the Crane. Okay, Crane comes in, and we hit. What do we hit? We hit 4 lands. So 4 lands go to the bottom of our library. Whatever. We wouldn't mind having an extra land here or there, but no big deal. And then we go ahead and play Windrake, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Pacification Array, and they choose to just attack with both things and then tap down the Windrake, I believe, which I would rather trade the Gluttonous Crane than the Windrake, because I'd rather have an extra point power on the battlefield to race back against this lifelink. Double blocking the Gifted Aetherborn seems not good. Still don't want to trade the Mobile Garrison with it. Just go ahead and block there. I guess I probably should have just gone ahead and drawn a card first. It's almost certainly not going to affect my decision. Get a Quicksmith Rebel. So I believe this is kind of a good spot to just go ahead and ice over the Gifted Aetherborn. So we can, and we're just going to keep beating them on both cards and on the board. We can just go ahead and play out. Probably we do want to hit another land, so you can get the Renegade Map and the Eager Construct and ice over. It's a reasonable line. I think actually I should probably start by drawing a card in this spot. But let's see what I do. Yeah, I start by drawing a card. That's good. and probably the Aether Super is a little bit better. I don't want to give my opponent another Scry at this point. So we go ahead and play the map and attack. The sequencing doesn't really matter. Play the Super, or Ice over and then the Super. Alright, that's that, and our opponent hits their 4th land. And they do get to break up our personal Howling Mine, but that was apparently a moral victory for our opponent because they just conceded at that point. Which, I mean, we're definitely ahead on board. We're ahead on cards, or we'll draw up to 5 cards, and we can draw a bunch more cards sooner rather than later. We still have all this stuff going on there. So that was a pretty good game 1, or match, first match for us, and let's see where we go from there.